Imagine a world where childhood meant hours roaming neighborhoods unsupervised. Your home's only phone was anchored by a rotary dial, and missing your favorite television show meant waiting an entire week. That's what kids actually lived through in the 1970s, long before smartphones or the internet existed. But was life simple and free as nostalgia claims, or were there hidden rules, risks, and struggles that shaped an entire generation? This is where our journey into the real 1970s begins. A single rotary phone anchored the household, its spiral cord stretching from the kitchen to the hallway as voices carried through the walls. Every call started with the slow, satisfying spin of the dial, each number clicking back in its own time. Kids learned to wait their turn, careful not to interrupt a parent's call, and always remembered to ask politely for a friend by name. Long distance meant real money. Parents watched the clock, and a call to another city was reserved for birthdays or big news. On the living room shelf, a stack of vinyl records and cassettes promised hours of listening. Recording a favorite song off the radio took patience, finger hovering over the record button, hoping the disc jockey would not talk over the intro. Mixtapes grew track by track, sometimes with a snippet of static or a half-caught weather report in between. Most families had just one television, its dial offering only a handful of channels. Television meant gathering together at the set time, no pausing or rewinding. If you missed a show, you waited until next week. When the last program ended, a test pattern filled the screen, buzzing quietly through the night. These routines shaped the rhythm of home life, teaching everyone to share, to wait, and to savor the moments when the whole family gathered around a single device. Children burst out the front door after breakfast, scattering into the neighborhood with barely a backward glance. The rule was simple: be home when the streetlights flickered on. For hours, the streets belonged to kids. Bikes clattered over sidewalks, often without a helmet in sight, as groups raced each other or pedaled to the corner store for a handful of candy. Skinned knees and grass stains were badges of honor, and a garden hose doubled as both a water fountain and a way to cool off in the heat. Parks, vacant lots, and even alleyways became worlds of their own, places to invent games, build forts from scrap wood, or wage epic battles of hide and seek. In suburbs, cul-de-sacs meant fewer cars and more freedom to sprawl out with chalk or play kickball until dusk. City kids darted between stoops and alleyways, watched over not by parents, but by the loose network of neighbors and older siblings who kept an eye out from porches. No cell phones, no check-ins, just a parent's whistle or a distant call at dinner to reel everyone back in. Most days, the only curfew was the glow of the street lights, a silent signal drifting across every block. On Halloween, paper bags bulged with candy after hours of trick-or-treating, costumes cobbled together from whatever was on hand. By the time the last rays of sun faded, the neighborhood had shrunk again, and the day's adventures were traded in whispers before sleep. Classrooms in the 1970s ran on routine. Chalk dust hung in the air, blackboards filled with careful cursive, and hands grew tired from copying notes. Film strip projectors clattered through lessons, their mechanical rhythm a brief escape from the monotony. Overhead projectors cast shifting diagrams on the wall, while teachers enforced order with a strict set of rules. In Ontario, the strap, a leather tool for discipline, waited in the teacher's drawer. The Brant Street Public School scandal in 1970, when a trustee brandished a paddle on TV, ignited fierce debate. Toronto banned the strap by 1971, but many Ontario districts held on until the mid-1980s. Approaches to discipline varied. Some teachers defended corporal punishment, others quietly let it fade. Across Canada, the US, and Australia, the school bus ride itself could be a trial, with icy rural roads in Canada and long walks under the Australian sun. Gender split the curriculum, girls in home economics and boys in shop class. Milk arrived in waxed cartons, snacks like wagon wheels and Joe's Louis tucked into desks. For Indigenous students like Auntie Margaret, discipline often came harsher, and speaking their language could mean punishment. The routines shaped more than lessons. They set expectations for behavior, order, and even play, echoing long after the final bell. On the playground, the real action started long before the bell rang. Stomp rockets soared over sand pits, their plastic fins battered from 100 launches. Metal Tonka trucks carved roads through the dirt, and marbles or trading cards changed hands with every recess. But by 1977, nothing rivaled the Star Wars craze. The toys were nowhere to be found. Department store shelves sat empty, and kids who got the Kenner early bird voucher that Christmas unwrapped a cardboard stand, a promise, and a long wait. For months, playground deals revolved around who had mailed in their certificate and who was still waiting for Luke or Leia to arrive in the mailbox. In Australia, the Toltoys version was even scarcer, turning any Star Wars figure into playground gold. Negotiation became a childhood skill. Lunch money, stickers, even a favorite marble might be traded for a chance to hold Darth Vader or R2-D2. Some kids made their own play sets out of shoeboxes while they waited, and the anticipation only grew as rumors spread about which figures were actually shipping. By the time the first action figures landed in mailboxes, they were already legendary. Electronic games brought a new kind of excitement. The arrival of Pong in 1975 started family debates over who got the next turn, but when the Atari 2600 hit shelves in 1977, the rules changed. Suddenly, the living room became an arcade, and kids gathered to watch blocky spaceships and pixelated tanks battle on screen. A tech witness from the US, now in his 20s, remembers the moment. The first time we plugged in Atari, it felt like the future had landed in our house. We'd never seen anything like it, and nobody wanted to give up the joystick. The playground market, once ruled by marbles and cards, was now making room for the first wave of electronic fandom. Music and television stitched together the fabric of childhood in the 1970s. In living rooms across North America and Australia, the stereo's thump signaled the start of a dance party. Whether it was rock blasting from a battered Led Zeppelin album or the pulse of disco as Saturday Night Fever topped the charts. Kids copied moves from Soul Train or Countdown, and school dances meant practicing the hustle or air guitaring to AC/DC. Evenings revolved around the television, with families crowding the couch for primetime events. Shows like Happy Days, All in the Family, and MASH regularly landed in the Nielsen Top 10, drawing millions at the same hour each week. Missing an episode meant waiting and hearing every detail retold on the playground the next day. For newcomers, TV and music became a crash course in fitting in. Rafi, who moved to Toronto from Pakistan as a boy, remembers learning English through sitcoms and picking up slang from reruns of The Jeffersons. He'd trade tapes of Bollywood hits for a shot at someone's Bay City Rollers single, hoping to catch up with the latest trend. At home, his family hosted mixed music nights, Bee Gees on one side of the cassette, traditional songs on the other, bridging old worlds and new. These rituals built a common language, one beat and one punchline at a time, connecting kids from every background long before anyone thought to call it multicultural. Bell-bottom jeans swept across playgrounds and shopping malls as kids and adults alike squeezed into polyester shirts splashed with wild prints. Catalogs from Sears or Meijer dictated what was in style, but the price tags made every new look a negotiation at the dinner table. Joan, a mother from Ohio, remembers that they patched jeans and hemmed hand-me-downs because the money just was not there, but her daughter still wanted those platform shoes like everyone else. For many families, the dream of a disco wardrobe collided with the realities of a shrinking paycheck. By 1973, gas lines curled around city blocks from Melbourne to Toronto. Drivers waited for hours, ration cards in hand, as the oil embargo sent prices soaring and left tempers flaring at the pump. Grocery bills climbed, and even a simple drive to visit family became a luxury. As paychecks stretched thinner, more mothers entered the workforce, and the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics showed the proportion of working women rising sharply through the decade. Joan recalls that she started working nights, and her kids learned to cook for themselves. Dr. Carter, a social historian, notes that by 1975, economic pressure had redrawn the boundaries of home life. Fashion was still a statement, but survival came first. The era's style and spirit played out against a backdrop of real economic strain, shaping not just what people wore, but how they lived and worked together. Today, the average child spends less than 7 minutes outdoors each day, down from hours a day in the 1970s. As digital life accelerates, the meaning of freedom and connection keeps shifting. The real question is, what will nostalgia for our own era look like? Let me know your memories or thoughts in the comments.